Why do we do it? That primal, almost uncontrollable urge to show off. To be seen, to be admired, to be remembered. In the age of social media, this urge has been amplified 1,000,000 times over. We curate our lives, we perform for an invisible audience, and we chase the validation of likes, shares, and follows. But what happens when that chase goes too far? When the desire to impress becomes a fatal obsession. Today, we're looking at the most shocking, tragic, and downright stupid deaths that occurred all for the sake of impressing someone. From a teenager surfing a subway train to a YouTuber playing with a .50 caliber handgun, these are the stories of people who gambled with their lives for a fleeting moment of glory and lost. This is not just about social media. It's about a fundamental human flaw, a need for approval that can lead to the ultimate, irreversible mistake. This is most shocking deaths while trying to impress someone. Case 1. The urban legend. Our first story takes us back to a time before TikTok, before Instagram, to the gritty pre-social media era of 2003. In the concrete canyons of New York City, a 14-year-old boy from Harlem and his friends decided to engage in a dangerous, decades-old tradition known as subway surfing. The goal was simple: to climb onto the roof of a moving train and ride it, a high-stakes game of chicken against the city's infrastructure. For this group of teenagers, it was the ultimate act of rebellion, a way to prove their courage to each other. As the number 4 train rattled its way towards the Bronx, the boy scrambled onto the roof. For a few exhilarating moments, he was king of the world, balancing on the metal beast as it roared through the dark tunnels. His friends watched from below, a mix of fear and admiration in their eyes. But the city is unforgiving. As the train sped through the tunnel, the boy failed to duck in time. He slammed into a low-hanging steel support beam, the impact killing him instantly. The train screeched to a halt, the cheers of his friends turning to screams of horror. His death was a brutal reminder that some urban legends are all too real. He wasn't trying to impress 1,000,000 followers, just a handful of friends. But the price of that fleeting moment of playground glory was his life. Case 2. The meme that killed. In 2011, the internet was obsessed with a new, bizarre trend called planking. The rules were simple: lie face down, stiff as a board, in the most unusual or dangerous place you could find, and have someone take a photo. It was a global phenomenon, a harmless, silly meme. Until it wasn't. On the morning of May 15, 2011, in Brisbane, Australia, 20-year-old Acton Beale decided to take the planking challenge to the next level. He was on the 7th-floor balcony of an apartment building with a friend, and he saw the ultimate photo opportunity: to plank on the narrow balcony railing with the city skyline as his backdrop. His friend, camera in hand, watched as Acton carefully positioned himself, his body rigid, his face pointed towards the ground 7 stories below. For a moment, he was a part of the meme, a player in the global game. But the railing was thin, his balance was precarious, and in a split second, the joke was over. He slipped, and with a cry, he plunged to his death. His death sparked a national debate in Australia, with the Prime Minister issuing a public warning about the dangers of the trend. Acton Beale became the face of a meme gone wrong, a young man who died for a photo, a victim of the internet's insatiable appetite for the absurd. Case 3. The illusion of control. By 2015, the game had changed. It wasn't just about a single photo, it was about building a brand. 17-year-old Andrei Retrovsky from Vologda, Russia, was a rising star in the world of rooftoping, a subculture of daredevils who illegally climb skyscrapers and other structures to take spectacular photos. His Instagram was a gallery of vertigo-inducing images, each one more daring than the last. He was chasing the high of the stunt, but also the validation of his growing army of followers. For his next post, he planned his most ambitious shot yet, to make it look like he was floating in mid-air. He attached a rope to the roof of a 9-story building, intending to hang from it, creating the illusion of a death-defying levitation. He set up his camera, took a deep breath, and leaned back into the void. But the rope, his only connection to safety, either snapped or came loose. The illusion of control was shattered in an instant. He fell, his body hitting the ground with a force that no one could survive. Andrei Rotrovsky died for his art, a self-made stuntman who became a victim of his own creation, a final tragic post in a feed dedicated to the illusion of invincibility. Case 4. The coolest photo. Just a few months later, in Houston, Texas, another young man was chasing a different kind of online validation. A 19-year-old man, whose name was not widely reported, was at home with his cousin, scrolling through social media. He wanted to take a cool selfie, a photo that would make him look tough, a picture that would get a reaction. He had a prop, a pistol. He believed the gun was unloaded. He held the phone in one hand and the gun in the other, and, with a smile, he pointed the barrel at his own head. His cousin watched, likely thinking it was just a harmless joke. He was about to post the photo to Instagram, a permanent record of his manufactured coolness. But the gun was loaded. As he posed, his finger on the trigger, the weapon discharged. The bullet entered his head, killing him instantly. His cousin could only watch in horror as a stupid, childish prank turned into a real-life tragedy. This wasn't a daredevil or an extreme athlete. This was a regular teenager who made a fatal mistake, all for the sake of a photo, a fleeting moment of online attention. He died for a picture that was never posted, a victim of a culture that often confuses recklessness with coolness. 4 stories, 4 young men who died trying to impress their friends, or an anonymous online audience. But the next set of stories are even more tragic, because they involve an element of love and trust. These are the stories of couples, where one person's desire to impress led to the death of another, or both. After the break, we're looking at the cases where the person you trust the most becomes the architect of your demise. Case 5. The Bulletproof Book. In June 2017, 22-year-old Pedro Ruiz and his 19-year-old girlfriend, Mona Lisa Perez, were a young couple from Minnesota with a dream: to become YouTube famous. Their channel was a collection of pranks and vlogs, and they were desperate for their big break, a viral video that would get them millions of views. Pedro came up with what he thought was the perfect idea: a bulletproof book stunt. He would hold a thick encyclopedia to his chest, and Mona Lisa would shoot him with a .50 caliber Desert Eagle, one of the most powerful handguns in the world. He had convinced her, and himself, that the book would stop the bullet. He had even tweeted about it earlier, saying, "Me and Pedro are probably going to shoot one of the most dangerous videos ever. His idea, not mine." On a sunny afternoon, with their 3-year-old child nearby and cameras rolling, they went through with it. Mona Lisa, hesitant but trusting, aimed the gun and fired. The bullet tore through the book, through Pedro's chest, and through their dreams of YouTube stardom. He died at the scene. Mona Lisa was later convicted of second-degree manslaughter. Their viral video became a piece of evidence in a criminal trial, a permanent, horrifying record of how the pursuit of online fame can destroy lives. Case 6. The Last Pull-Up. Wu Yongning was a legend. Known as China's first rooftopper, the 26-year-old had amassed a huge following on Chinese social media platforms with his breathtaking and terrifying stunts. He performed all of them without any safety equipment, his life literally hanging by his fingertips. In November 2017, he was attempting his most lucrative stunt yet. A sponsor had offered him 100,000 yuan, about $15,000, for a video of him hanging from the top of the 62-story Huaiyuan Center in Changsha. For Wu, this wasn't just about the fame, it was about his future. He wanted the money to marry his girlfriend and to pay for his mother's medical treatment. He set up his phone to record and began doing pull-ups on the edge of the roof. But something was wrong. The surface was too slippery, or he was too tired. The video, which went viral after his death, is agonizing to watch. You can see him struggle to pull himself back up, his feet scrabbling for a hold that isn't there. And then he lets go. He fell 45 feet onto a lower terrace, dying from his injuries. His death was a national tragedy in China, a story of a young man who was trying to build a better life for his family, but who died for the entertainment of a digital crowd. Case 7. The Final Donut. By 2021, TikTok had become the new frontier for viral fame, and 18-year-old Timothy Isaiah Hall, known to his 200,000 followers as Timbo the Redneck, was a rising star. His content was a celebration of a certain kind of rural American life: big trucks, mudding, and a proud, unapologetic patriotism. On a July afternoon in Florida, he was doing what he did best, performing for the camera. He was in his beloved Ford pickup, which he called Big Booty Judy, doing donuts in a friend's front yard while his girlfriend filmed. It was a classic Timbo stunt, the kind of content his followers loved. But in the middle of a spin, he was ejected from the driver's side window. The truck, still spinning, continued its arc, and the front wheel rolled directly over him, crushing him under the weight of his own beloved machine. He died at the scene. His death was a tragic, almost poetic end for a young man who had built his identity around his truck. He was killed by the very symbol of his online persona, a final, fatal performance for an audience that was always hungry for more. Case 8. The Lion Tamer. This next story is a primal, terrifying example of a man trying to impress a woman by proving his dominance over nature. In a zoo in Uzbekistan, a 44-year-old zookeeper decided to perform an incredibly dangerous stunt for his girlfriend. He would enter the lion enclosure, unarmed, to show her how much the animals respected and trusted him. His girlfriend filmed as he walked calmly into the enclosure, approaching one of the lions. For a moment, the scene was deceptively calm. The lion seemed to tolerate his presence. He was the master of his domain, the beast tamer, the man who could walk with lions. It was the ultimate display of masculine bravado. But a wild animal is never truly tame. In a flash, the lion lunged, its playful demeanor turning to predatory fury. The man was knocked to the ground, and other lions in the enclosure quickly joined the attack. His girlfriend's video captures the horrifying sounds of the mauling, her screams of terror as she watched the man she loved being torn apart. He died from his injuries. He had tried to prove he was the king of the jungle, but the lions reminded him, in the most brutal way possible, who truly wears the crown. Case 9. The Cinematic Fall. Our final story brings us to October 2024 and the world of a 26-year-old British travel influencer living in Spain. His life was a carefully curated feed of adventure and beauty, and for his next piece of content, he had chosen a spectacular location, the Castilla-La Mancha Bridge, a massive modern structure with high, sweeping arches. He was filming himself as he climbed the bridge, moving to increasingly dangerous positions to capture the perfect cinematic shot. He was an artist, and the world was his canvas. He reached a high, precarious point, the ground hundreds of feet below, and turned the camera on himself, a smile of triumph on his face. But then he lost his grip. He fell, his camera capturing the entire terrifying plunge. Emergency services were called, but there was nothing they could do. His final video, the one that was meant to be his masterpiece, became his epitaph. It was the ultimate, tragic irony. A man who had dedicated his life to creating beautiful images of adventure died creating the most horrific and unforgettable image of all. 9 stories, 9 lives cut short by a single, powerful, and deeply human desire: the need to impress. Whether it was for a handful of friends, a girlfriend, or an audience of millions, the motivation was the same. They were all chasing a feeling, a moment of validation, a brief taste of glory. And in that chase, they made a fatal miscalculation. These stories are a mirror, reflecting our own society's obsession with image, with performance, with the curated self. They are a warning that the line between bravery and stupidity is often thinner than we think, and that the pursuit of online fame can have very real and very final consequences. So the next time you feel that urge to show off, to take that one extra risk for the perfect photo, remember these stories. Remember the price of a fleeting moment of glory. And ask yourself, is it worth it? Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you appreciate our deep dives into these tragic tales, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Final Moments. Until next time, stay safe, and know that you are impressive enough just as you are.